Dear friends, English Literature, Introduction to Drama, Arms and the Man by George Bernard Shaw. Short questions with answers. Short questions 61 to 70. Question 61. On what occasions does Raina tell lies? Answer. According to Raina, she tells lies on two occasions. She told her first lies when she hid bluntly behind the screen of her bedroom and told the Russian officer that he was not there. The Serbs are defeated at the Battle of Slipnica. Being chased by the Bulgarian soldiers, bluntly enters Raina's bedroom and threatens her not to shout. He tells her that if she shouts, he will shoot her, but if he does not shout, he will do no harm to her. At the time, Raina was in her nightdress. He takes the possession of her cloak, thinking that she will not allow anybody to enter her room while she is in her nightgown. But when the Bulgarian soldiers want to break the door in order to enter her bedroom, he gives Raina her cloak so that she can appear before them being properly dressed. Raina declares to help him. She hides him behind the curtain. A young Russian officer in Bulgarian uniform enters with sword in hand. The officer tells her that there is a Serb hiding on the balcony and they want to search. Upon this, Raina lies, uttering the words, "Nonsense, sir. You can see that there is no one on the balcony." The story of the ice pudding was her second lie. When Blanchely visits the Petkov family for the second time to return the old coat of Petkov, Raina is glad to see him and addresses him as the chocolate cream soldier. In presence of Catherine, Petkov and Sergius, in presence of Catherine, Petkov and Sergius, her address to Blanchely surprises all. Then she invents a false story of the ice pudding to show that she does not know Blanchely. She lied that she had made a beautiful ornament of figure of a soldier for the ice pudding, and the stupid Nicola had put down a pile of plates on it and spoilt it. Question 62. Describe Blanchely's reaction to her telling lies. Answer. Raina tells Blanchely that she has told only two lies in her whole life, and on both occasions she lies to save his life. On the first occasion, she lied to save him from the hands of the Russian officer, and on the second occasion of Sergius. But Blanchely does not give much importance to her words. He humorously remarks that two lies are not sufficient for a whole morning. He means that in a single morning he tells quite a number of lies. He cannot believe when she tells him that she has lied only twice in her whole life. She becomes angry and feels insulted, but Blanchely frankly admits that he does not believe even a single word of what he says. He tells her that he tells lies when occasion demands, and hints that she also tells lies now and then. Thus, Blanchely exposes Raina's illusions. Question 63. Who says this and to whom? Describe the occasion of this speech. Answer. Sergius says this to Blanchely in Arms and the Man. Being chased by the Bulgarian soldiers, Blanchely takes shelter in Raina's bedroom. He stays there for the whole night. In the morning, he is given the old coat of Major Petkov to leave the house in disguise. The war is over. Peace treaty has been signed at Bucharest. Blanchely comes to the Petkov house to return the coat. He meets Catherine in the garden. She becomes highly agitated. She fears that the secret of giving him shelter may soon be out. She tells him that Major Petkov and Sergius have just returned from the battle, and adds that if they know the secret, the consequences will be terrible. So she requests him to leave the house at once, leaving his address. Petkov and Sergius have already seen him through the window of the library room. They know that they know him for a long time. Bluntschli writes his address on his card. When he gives it to Catherine, Petkov rushes to the spot from the house with restless eagerness to show his hospitality. Sergius follows Petkov. Petkov shakes hands with Bluntschli. Petkov tells him that Sergius is with him and asks him if he remembers Sergius. Sergius then offers his hand in a good temper and welcomes him as friend to the enemy. Question 64. What is the meaning of it? Answer. Bluntschli is a professional soldier who fights for money. In the Serbo-Bulgarian War, he fights for the Serbs. Sergius was a Bulgarian major, so Bluntschli was an enemy of the Bulgarians. The Serbians were defeated at the Battle of Slivnica by means of the cavalry charge led by Sergius. Now the war is over, peace is established through the treaty signed at Bucharest. So he is no longer an enemy but a friend. Hence he is addressed by Sergius as our friend the enemy. Of course, after lunch he acts as a great friend. Major Petkov needs to send back the three regiments to Philippopolis. He fails to plan anything because of the forest difficulty. He wants to take the help of Sergius. Sergius also fails to make any plan. Bluntschli comes to help him. He draws out the order for the disposal of soldiers on behalf of Petkov, and Sergius only signs them. Question 65. Why did Sergius challenge Bluntschli to a duel? Answer. Sergius talks of higher love, but as soon as Raina leaves him, he begins to flirt with Loka. When he tries to kiss Loka, she avoids him and tells him that just as he is making love to her, Raina is also doing the same thing. That is, she is not making love to another gentleman. He wants to know the name of this rival. Loka refuses to tell the name of Sergius's rival in love, even in exchange for love or money. Loka says that Raina knows all about Sergius flirting with Loka, and that is why Raina will marry the man who makes love to her behind Sergius' back. Sergius becomes impassioned and catches hold of Loka's arms so tightly as to hurt her. In her next meeting with Sergius, she tells him that Raina will never marry him because the man has come back, and he tells him that he's the Swiss. To arouse his anger against Bluntschli, she tells him that the Swiss is really a worthy man, his value being 10 times that of Sergius. She excites Sergius against Bluntschli by saying that the Swiss has defeated him in love because he has taken away Raina from him. She also says that the Swiss may also defeat him in physical combat and kill him. So Sergius challenges him to a duel at 6 o'clock in the parade ground on the Kisora road. As Sergius is a cavalry soldier, he tells him Bluntschli that on the appointed time he will be on his horseback ready to fight with his sword. Question 66. Why did he refuse to fight later on? Answer. Bluntschli accepts the challenge, but he declares to use his machine gun as he's a gunner. Raina comes in and is surprised at the challenge. He tells her that he is also a sword instructor and assures her that no harm will be done to either. Sergius then accuses him of making love to Raina behind his back. Bluntschli denies it. Raina says that as she went upstairs, she saw through the window Sergius flirting with Loka. Being exposed, Sergius withdraws the challenge on the ground that Bluntschli is too cold a man to be fought with Sergius. Sergius does not find any feeling or sentiment in Bluntschli because Bluntschli says that he fights only when he is forced to fight, and he is glad if he can avoid fighting. Bluntschli he thinks is a professional soldier, while Sergius is a novice who thinks fighting is an amusement. As Bluntschli is practical-minded, he does not take fighting as an entertainment. He is untouched by the glory of fighting. So Sergius thinks that Bluntschli has no heart. He is cold and lifeless, like a machine. Sergius says that he cannot fight with a machine. He can fight only with a man who has heart, feelings, and sentiments. Bluntschli does not possess these qualities. That is why he refuses to fight a duel with him. Question 67. What is battles? Answer. Battles or anticlimax refers to the arrangement of ideas in their descending order of importance. It is a technical device which is used by poets and dramatists to create ridiculous effects. Battles consist in the descent from the lofty to the mean, from the elevated to the commonplace, to excite laughter. Thus, we can define it as a ludicrous descent from the elevated and the novel to the mean and the low in speech or writing. For example, he lost his wife, his child, his goods, and his dog. Here, four thoughts: losing his wife, child, goods, and dog are arranged in descending order of importance, which provokes laughter. Question 68. Is Arms the Man built on battles? Answer. Arms and the Man builds on battles. In the play, Major Sergius is ludicrously portrayed. In the beginning of the play, he is invested with military glory. He led a cavalry charge against a battery of machine guns. Because of his cavalry charge, the Bulgarians win the victory at Serbio-Bulgarian War. Because of his victory at the War of Slipnica, Raina and her mother become wild in joy. But Bluntschli comes in contact with Raina and gradually proves that Sergius is mere a fool in attacking a battery of machine guns. Her faith in him, in his heroism, begins to wane. Sergius attacks the artillery, violating the rules of military science, so he is not promoted to a higher rank. Here, signs from his post. He challenges Bluntschli to a duel, but he avoids fighting, which shows his cowardice. Sergius also appears to be ludicrous as a lover. He was engaged to Raina, a Bulgarian lady. Her father is a major. She belongs to a Petkov family, the richest and the best known in Bulgaria. At the beginning of the play, he talks of his platonic love for Raina. But the platonic love appears to him as tedious thing. He begins to flirt with Loka, the maidservant of the Petkov family, and ultimately engaged to marry her. Thus, we find battles in the character of Sergius. The play begins with Sergius possessing heroic qualities, but ends with Sergius is devoid of these qualities and lowers his status by declaring his marriage with the maidservant. Question 69. What is life force? Answer. Life force is a power which seeks to perfect creation through evolution. Shaw's theory of life force was considerably influenced by the scientific theories of the 19th century. According to Shaw, man is the instrument of life force for the evolution of higher forms. A man must act to further the evolutionary process. He must try to develop his existing faculties in order to contribute his increased intelligence to the process of evolution. If he tries to do so, the next generations will be able to raise themselves to a slightly higher level. If the process continues from generation to generation, a perfect generation will be found through evolution. Shaw conceives the life force as working through woman to create man who is designed to carry life to higher levels. In Man and Superman, he writes sexually woman is nature's contrivance for perpetuating its highest achievement. Sexually, man is woman's contrivance for fulfilling nature's behest in the most economical way. Question 70. Who embodies life force in Arms the Man? Answer: in Arms the Man, Loka embodies the life force. Loka is a maidservant. She was engaged to Nicola, a manservant, but she is determined to marry a person above her status. When Sergius becomes to flirt with her, she makes the best use of her wit and intelligence to capture him. She clears her way, poisoning Sergius's ear by saying that Raina is making love to another man behind Sergius' back. Loka asks him if he has the courage to marry a girl of lower social status, if she is really in love with her. He replies in the affirmative. She says that if she had been Empress of Russia, she would have married the man she loved, however low in position he might be. Sergius now boasts that if he loved Loka, he would have the courage to marry her if he were the Tsar of Russia. Then Loka says that Raina will marry the Switch who has come back. Sergius becomes very angry and takes her in his arms. Upon this, Loka says that he is making love to her behind Raina's back. He releases her and says that if his hands touches her again, he will marry her. Loka leaves the room bluntly, and Raina enters. Sergius charges Raina that she makes love to Bluntschli behind his back. Raina also charges him. Loka is eavesdropping their conversation. Sergius drags her into the room. She declares her love for Sergius. She gives him her hand, which Sergius at once kisses. Just then Loka reminds him of his promise and he declares that he would marry her. Thus Loka entraps Sergius by sheer force of will. Thank you friends for watching my video.